Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales that we're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. My name is Jason Carter. For 20 years, I believed I had built something unbreakable with my wife, Emily. We met in college, fell in love like all those fairy tale romances promised, and built a life together. We had 2 kids, Madeline, a freshman in college, and Jake, a high school senior. Our life seemed like an ideal suburban dream. But looking back, the cracks have been forming for years. Emily had always been the dedicated wife and mother, working as a supervisor at a supply company while I climbed my way to partner in an accounting firm. We had stability, comfort, and a routine. But stability doesn't mean happiness. It doesn't mean love is still alive. 6 weeks ago, when we dropped Madeline off at college, something shifted. The house became emptier, and that silent distance between us grew louder. I tried to ignore it, brushing it off as an adjustment phase, but deep down, I knew better. That Friday, I decided to surprise Emily with a romantic evening. I left work early, excited to rekindle whatever flicker of passion we still had. I wanted to remind her that despite our busy lives, we still had each other. But what I walked into was a reality I never saw coming. I pulled into the driveway and noticed Emily's car was already there. Good. She was home. Maybe she had the same idea. Maybe she wanted to spend time together, reconnect. I stepped inside and called out, "Emily, I'm home." "In the bedroom," she answered. I made my way up the stairs, anticipation building. But when I reached the bedroom door, my world collapsed. She was standing in front of the mirror, applying makeup. That wasn't unusual. But the little black dress, the pearl necklace I had given her last Christmas, and the open overnight bag filled with lingerie and casual clothes told a different story. Confusion gripped me. I didn't know we were going somewhere this weekend. I said lightly, hoping I had simply forgotten some planned getaway. "Where are we going?" She sighed, almost annoyed. "I'm not going anywhere with you, Jason." A pit formed in my stomach. "Then where are you going?" She turned to face me, completely calm, as if she were discussing grocery shopping. "I have a date for the weekend." A date. The words took a moment to register, and when they did, my stomach lurched. "What the hell are you talking about?" My voice wavered between shock and disbelief. "A date? With another man?" She sighed again. "Jason, please don't make this difficult. I was going to tell you right before I left. I know you're going to be mad, but I don't want to fight." I felt the blood drain from my face. "Mad? Emily, you're married to me. You don't get to casually announce you're going on a date like it's no big deal." She stepped closer, placing a hand on my chest like she thought she could smooth this over. "It's just one weekend," she said softly. "I need this. Ever since Madeline left, I've been suffocating. I need to feel alive again." Feel alive. I laughed bitterly. "So screwing some other guy for a weekend is going to make you feel alive?" She didn't even flinch. "It's not just sex. He makes me feel young again. Beautiful." I clenched my fists. "How long have you been seeing him?" "We've had lunch a few times," she admitted, "but this is the first time we're spending real time together." I shook my head, rage simmering beneath the surface. "Are you leaving me for him?" She actually laughed. "No, Jason. I love you. This isn't about that." "Then what the hell is it about?" She ran her fingers through her hair, exasperated. "I need this experience just once. And I didn't want to cheat behind your back. I wanted to be honest with you." Honest? She thought this was honesty? A horn honked outside. "That's my ride," she said, grabbing her bag. "I'll be back Sunday." I stood frozen, watching the woman I had built my life with walk out the door like I was nothing. She had no idea what she had just unleashed. Rage. That's all I felt as I watched her disappear into the night. This wasn't just about infidelity. It was about the absolute disregard for me, our marriage, and everything we had built. She thought she could humiliate me, walk all over me, and then come home like nothing happened. She was wrong. I wasn't going to sit back and wait like some abandoned husband. If she thought she could betray me, she was about to learn that I could play this game too. Pulling out my phone, I scrolled through my contacts until I found a name I hadn't seen in years, Sophia. We had a history, one that Emily never knew about. Before I met my wife, Sophia, and I had been something intense, something raw. We never worked out, but the fire never truly burned out. I hit dial. "Jason." Her voice was surprised but warm. I need to see you, I said, my voice thick with emotions I couldn't name. It's important. She hesitated, then exhaled. Where? 2 hours later, I sat across from Sophia in a dimly lit bar. She looked as stunning as I remembered, sharp, confident, and completely out of my wife's league. Her eyes studied me, already sensing something was wrong. What's going on? She asked. I smirked, taking a sip of my whiskey. Emily left for the weekend. With another man. Sophia's brows shot up. Are you serious? As a heart attack. She leaned back, swirling her wine glass. So why are you here, Jason? Because I'm not going to be the guy who sits around and lets this happen. A slow, knowing smile curled on her lips. What are you thinking? I leaned forward. I want to give Emily exactly what she gave me. And when she comes back, I want her to know what it feels like to be betrayed. Sophia tilted her head. Revenge. I nodded. She considered me for a moment, then reached across the table, brushing her fingers over mine. Then let's give her something to regret. That night, I didn't go home. I spent it with Sophia, and it was just the beginning. That night, as I lay beside Sophia, my mind raced with 1,000 thoughts. Her body was warm against mine, her breath steady as she slept peacefully, but I was wide awake. The irony wasn't lost on me. Emily was probably in some hotel room right now, tangled in the sheets with another man, feeling no guilt, no remorse. She thought she could have her little adventure and come back home like nothing happened, like I would be here waiting for her. But she had underestimated me. I turned onto my side, watching Sophia sleep. Her auburn hair was sprawled across the pillow, her lips slightly parted in a way that reminded me of the nights we had spent together years ago. Back then, things had been different. We had chemistry, an undeniable fire that burned every time we were together. But life had pulled us apart, and I had convinced myself that marrying Emily was the right choice. Now, staring at Sophia, I wondered if I'd been wrong. She stirred, blinking up at me. You're thinking too much, she murmured, her voice husky with sleep. I smirked. You always could read me too well. She stretched, a lazy, satisfied grin tugging at her lips. I can't believe you married someone who would do this to you. I exhaled, running a hand through my hair. I thought we had something solid. Turns out I was just blind. She traced a finger down my chest, her touch light, teasing. So what happens now, Jason? Do you just let her get away with it? A slow, dark smile spread across my face. No, I have a plan. Meanwhile, across town, Emily was basking in the afterglow of her own selfish choices. She lay in an expensive hotel suite, wrapped in silk sheets, her body still tingling from the night before. Beside her, Eric, a man nearly 10 years younger than her, slept soundly, his arm draped lazily over her waist. He was everything Jason wasn't, spontaneous, thrilling, full of raw, unfiltered desire. She had convinced herself that this weekend was necessary, that it was just a break, a small taste of something she had been missing for years. Jason was predictable, safe, and reliable. But Eric? He made her feel young again, reckless, wanted. As she slipped out of bed and padded toward the bathroom, she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. She looked different, her skin flushed, her eyes brighter. She smirked. Maybe Jason would never know. Maybe this really was just a harmless escape. But deep down, a small, nagging voice whispered that nothing would ever be the same again. The next day, while Emily was busy indulging in her fantasy, I was busy setting my plan into motion. I met with my lawyer. Divorce, he asked, adjusting his glasses as he skimmed through my notes. I nodded. But I want to do this strategically. I need to make sure she doesn't see it coming. He leaned back in his chair, intrigued. Most men in your situation act emotionally. You, however, seem calm. I smirked. That's because I'm not just going to divorce her. I'm going to make her regret ever betraying me. My lawyer chuckled. Well, this should be interesting. I spent hours putting everything in place. Bank accounts, assets, property division. Everything would be handled in a way that left Emily with as little as possible. I wasn't going to be played for a fool and let her walk away with half of everything I worked for. By the time I left the lawyer's office, I felt a sense of clarity I hadn't in years. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about taking back control. Sunday evening arrived, and with it, Emily returned home. She strolled through the door like nothing had happened, her overnight bag slung over her shoulder, her expression casual. "Hey, honey," she said sweetly. "I'm home." I stared at her from across the room, my face unreadable. She had no idea that the ground beneath her feet was about to shatter. She set her bag down and stretched, oblivious to the tension in the air. "I missed you," she lied. I smirked. "Oh, I bet you did." She faltered for a second, but quickly recovered. "Jason, we should talk about this. I know it was a shock, but I meant what I said. It was just one weekend. It didn't mean anything." I tilted my head, studying her. "Oh, I know it didn't mean anything. Because you, Emily, mean nothing to me now." Her expression shifted. "What?" I stood, walking toward her slowly, deliberately. "You thought you could betray me, lie to my face, and come back like nothing happened." I leaned in, my voice low and dangerous. "You really thought I'd just sit here and wait for you like some pathetic fool?" She swallowed, suddenly realizing that something was very, very wrong. "Jason, you're overreacting." I chuckled darkly. "Oh, sweetheart, I haven't even begun." She took a step back. "What does that mean?" I pulled out a manila folder and tossed it on a coffee table. "It means you need to read that." Her hands trembled as she picked it up. The moment she saw the words divorce petition, her face went pale. "No," she whispered. "You're not serious." I folded my arms. "Oh, I'm dead serious." She shook her head violently. "Jason, wait. We can fix this. It was just one mistake." I stepped closer, my expression cold. "You think I spend the weekend crying over you? Feeling sorry for myself?" I smirked. "No, Emily. I spent the weekend with someone who actually values me. Someone who doesn't treat me like an option." Tears welled in her eyes. "Ooh." I leaned in, letting my words slice through her like a blade. "Sophia." The color drained from her face. "You're lying." I smirked. "Am I?" She dropped the papers, her hands shaking. "I didn't think you would actually. You didn't think I had it in me." I finished for her. "You thought I'd be weak, that I'd take you back, that I'd accept being second choice." She stared at me, stunned into silence. I grabbed my keys. "Pack your things. You're leaving tonight." She blinked rapidly, panic creeping into her features. "Jason, please. We have a family. You should have thought about that before you spread your legs for another man." She gasped, tears spilling over. "I don't want a divorce." I laughed, shaking my head. "Well, too bad. Because I do." She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. I turned toward the door, feeling lighter than I had in years. "Oh, and Emily?" She looked up, her face streaked with tears. I smirked. "Enjoy your freedom." With that, I walked out, leaving her to drown in the ruins of her choices. Emily sat frozen on the couch, the weight of the divorce papers suffocating her. Jason's words echoed in her head, over and over. "Enjoy your freedom." She never thought it would come to this. She had convinced herself that a weekend of fun wouldn't destroy her marriage, that Jason would get over it, that he would forgive her. But now, as reality crashed down, she realized she had gambled everything, her family, her home, her stability, and lost. She scrambled to her feet, running after Jason. "Please don't do this. We can fix this." He didn't even look at her. He got in his car, started the engine, and drove off without a second glance. Emily stood in the driveway, tears streaming down her face. Her perfect life was crumbling before her eyes. And Jason? He wasn't coming back. Jason drove straight to Sophia's apartment. When she opened the door, she saw the look in his eyes, the look of a man who had finally broken free. "Is it done?" she asked softly. Jason exhaled. "Yeah." She stepped aside, letting him in. "Good." That night, for the first time in years, Jason felt something he hadn't in a long time. Freedom. He didn't feel guilty. He didn't feel lost. He felt powerful. And he wasn't done yet. Emily had humiliated him. Now it was his turn. Emily's nightmare began immediately. The next morning, she found herself locked out of their joint bank account. Panic set in. She tried calling Jason, but he didn't answer. When she showed up at his office, security didn't even let her in. She called Eric, the man she had spent the weekend with, but he ghosted her. Reality slapped her hard. She had nothing. No husband. No lover. No money. The life she had built over 20 years was gone in the blink of an eye. A week later, Emily received a letter. It was from Jason's lawyer. She expected it to be more divorce paperwork, but when she read the contents, she nearly fainted. Jason was filing for full custody of their son. Her hands trembled as she gripped the paper. No, this couldn't be happening. She called Jason, but this time he answered. "You can't take Jake away from me," she sobbed. Jason's voice was calm. "Watch me." And then he hung up. Emily screamed in frustration. She had thought she could cheat and walk away untouched. She had never imagined Jason would be the one to burn everything down. Emily tried to fight back. She hired a lawyer, but Jason had proof. The private investigator's reports, the financial records, the text messages between her and Eric. The judge saw everything. In the courtroom, Jason sat with his lawyer, unfazed. Emily sat across from him, looking like a broken woman. The judge spoke. "Full custody is granted to Mr. Carter." Emily collapsed in her seat. Jason walked past her without a word. She reached out, grabbing his arm. "Jason, please. I'll do anything." He shook her off. "You already did." And then he walked away. With no husband, no money, and no family, Emily was forced to move into a cheap apartment. She reached out to friends, but they had all distanced themselves from her. No one wanted to be associated with the woman who had thrown away a perfect marriage for a weekend of lust. She tried calling Jason again. He ignored her. She tried reaching out to their son. He refused to answer. Every door she knocked on was slammed shut in her face. For the first time in her life, she was truly alone, and she had no one to blame but herself. Meanwhile, Jason's life had never been better. He finalized the divorce. He moved in with Sophia. He got full custody of Jake. And most importantly, he was happy. One evening, as he and Sophia sat on the balcony of their new home, she turned to him. "Do you regret it?" she asked. Jason smirked. Not for a second. Emily had played her game. She had made her choices. And now, she was paying the price. Months passed. One evening, Jason received an unexpected visitor. Emily. She looked horrible, thin, pale, and desperate. "Please, Jason," she whispered. "I can't live like this. I made a mistake." Jason crossed his arms. "A mistake?" He chuckled darkly. "Emily, you made a choice." She fell to her knees. "I miss you. I miss our family." Jason's face hardened. "You didn't miss me when you were with him." She sobbed. "I'll do anything to fix this." Jason leaned down, his voice cold as ice. "There's nothing left to fix." And with that, he closed the door in her face. Forever. After that night, Emily truly lost everything. She lost her job. Her landlord evicted her. She was forced to move into a shelter. She had gone from being a respected wife and mother to nothing. No one came to help her. No one cared. And Jason? He had moved on. 1 year later, Jason stood in his office, looking out at the city skyline. His secretary walked in. "Sir, your ex-wife called again." He smirked. Delete the message. He no longer thought about Emily. She was nothing but a bad memory. He had won, and she had lost. Years later, Jason ran into Emily by accident. She was working as a cashier at a grocery store. She looked up at him, her eyes lifeless. Jason? He barely recognized her. She had become a shell of the woman she once was. She tried to speak, but he simply nodded and walked away. She was no longer a part of his life, and she never would be again. Jason had been betrayed, but he had won in the end. Emily had thought she could cheat and walk away unscathed, but life had punished her. And Jason? He had built something better. A new life, a new love, a new beginning. The past was dead, and he would never look back.